Hey, you beautiful beings. Welcome to Empowered Human with Nina Garcia. I am your host, and you are listening to the throwback episodes. Yeah, I have officially taken a pause on creating new episodes for the podcast so that I can focus on writing the book. It became very clear that while I have loved doing the podcast, I'm getting these episodes out every week to you all piecemeal. I was like, no more, no more. You all were like, please, please, can you get us all those skills and tools, Nina, in one area so that we can do the empowered human journey, so that we can really see what it's like from start to finish, to which I say, yes, absolutely. Let me get this to you. Yes. So what you're going to be hearing is this. You're going to be hearing throwback episodes from all 6 seasons, okay? It's not going to be every episode, so don't freak out on me yet. But it is going to be some of the episodes that were highlighted, that were popular, that we think, maybe you all missed and we want to bring it back. You're going to be hearing throwback episodes, and I am going to be listening along with you. I too want to hear about the journey and experience the journey that I had as we moved from Triggered Can We Play With That, the original podcast, all the way to Empowered Human with Nina Garcia. So you're going to hear personal stories. You're going to hear interviews. You're going to be given skills in every episode. Yes, you're going to be given tools in every episode for you to become skilled in. It is totally up to you whether you want to listen. If it's not the episode for you, skip to the next week, right? You just take what works for you, leave what doesn't. And if there's some stuff you're curious about, why don't you just go ahead and put that on the shelf? The podcast has always been about putting resources in the hands of people without needing to pay for it, right? And so this is no different. Even with these throwback episodes, what you're going to hear is this. We're going through, just as I said, you're going to still hear me talk at the beginning of each episode, letting you know, hey, we've had a transition. You're going to hear the original intro to the episode. You're going to hear the show music, and then you're going to hear the full original episode. This could mean that dates are off, that times are off, that people are talked about, that may no longer be in our lives, right? Just be aware of that. At the very end of the episode, you're going to see this face again come back to remind you that it was a throwback episode and to maybe offer you some adventure challenges as you move from week to week, right? Though the format of the episode did change over the years that we've done this podcast, the value is still there. So if you like something, definitely hit me up on Instagram at Drama Therapist Nina and be like, Nina, I love that throwback episode about XYZ thing. Yes, fill in the blank with that. Let me know. And if there's something that you're looking for in the meantime, also hit me up on Instagram at Drama Therapist Nina and let me know. Otherwise, stay curious and enjoy the ride, folks. I'll be right along there with you. Welcome to Empowered Human, the dramatically playful podcast that invites you to heal humanity, the one within you, me, and the world at large. I'm your host, drama therapist, empowerment specialist, and not to mention empowered human, Nina Garcia. And I'm so stoked you're joining me on the journey. Every Wednesday, you are invited to explore transforming from powered to empowered with genuinely human stories of courageous existence, healing from invalidation, and truly belonging to you. So wherever you are on the spectrum, from empowerment curious to empowered human ambassador, this podcast is designed to humanize. Get ready to lean into your edge, heal your worldview, and finally belong to you. This is Empowered Human. Hey everybody, I'm back. All right, so we got another episode here, and we have this podcast. It is called Triggered Can We Play With That? And we haven't really yet dived into what it means to play with something. So let's go ahead and take a twist, and we're going to go there. When we talk about playing with something, right? I am a drama therapist, y'all. So I am going to express it to you in my own lens, the way that I see it, in hopes that it can be a tool that you can use in your own life, in the real world, right? I use it every day in my real world. I use it every day clinically. These tools are so valuable to living your best life. So when we think about playing, as a drama therapist, I look at human beings and think, there's one of three roles that you are going to be playing at any given moment in your day. You are either going to be playing a role that is something you chose, it's intentional, it feels like you, it feels authentic, right? These are often phrases that you'll use. You say like, this is a role that I've chosen. This is something that I'm playing. This is me, right? There's roles that are going to be thrust upon you, things you don't get to choose necessarily. Could be responsibilities, the fact that you don't get to choose, that you're, say, even a son or a daughter, right? Some of us don't get to choose whether we're going to be a mother. We'll come back to that in a minute. And or a father, as the case may be, a parent, period. And finally, the I don't know role, right? Which is sort of this nebulous, I don't really feel like I can resist right now, but I also don't really feel drawn to it. I'm sort of in this I don't know space, right? So at any given point in your day, let's think about that, right? What role are you playing right now? Is it intentional? Is it you? Are you in the I don't know? I sort of happened upon this podcast and I'm not really sure why I'm listening. Or are you in that somebody else told me that I should listen to this, right? Somebody told me that I should. They thrust it upon me and now I'm seeing what I'm getting from it. So that's the first thing you're getting from it. At any given point in your day, you're playing some kind of role. How intentional is it? That's your step one. Step two, we move forward. When we think about playing with things, right, we have to know what the story is because we got to know what the roles are that are present, right? What are the characters that are present in this story? If you could imagine that your life is like a giant story, right? It's like a big old novel. And there are different chapters. There are different, maybe little stories in the chapters and different moments. But altogether, it's your novel, and there's all these little pieces to it, some that you don't even recognize. So if we were to choose a moment, either a page or a chapter or a memory in this book, right, whatever it is, there are different characters that are involved in this story. And so I am going to go ahead and give a little bit of an example around what it means to play with the different characters in the story. And what it means to sort of be in that space of, am I choosing to be this character? Has somebody else told me that this is who I should be? Or am I the I don't know, right? Remember those three primary roles, so to speak. So earlier I said I would sort of hearken back to the mother part, right? If we use that as an example, I could intentionally, if I'm looking at those three roles, intentionally choose to be a mother. That could be a role that I have chosen, right? It could also be a role that is thrust upon me that I have not chosen, right? I could have never wanted to be a mother. And then I get pregnant unexpectedly and, oh my gosh, now I have it thrust upon me, right? Moving forward. Then there's the I don't know mother. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to get pregnant. I don't feel like it was thrust upon me, but I also really wasn't sure if I didn't. And so it's sort of like, I don't really know how I feel about this role, right? Which of course can be a challenge, especially in the mother role, but in any role, because every role comes with its own story. Now that expresses itself in a lot of ways, but they all come with their own guidelines, expectations, the narrative that surrounds them. All the roles. So if we look at playing with the characters in a story, I'm going to tell you a little story about a time I lived in Harlem, New York. And I was going to see a movie with a friend, right? And it was daytime. I was literally, there is no other way to describe this, I was literally skipping down the street. I had a lot of energy. I was bouncy. I was excited. We were going to see a horror movie. Horror movies are my jam. And I'm like super stoked. And it is very, very obvious. And if y'all know me, anybody who knows me personally, my emotions are just there, right? It's like, no shame in my emotion game. So I am skipping down the Harlem streets. My friend is gracefully walking by me. And we come upon this group of guys. And they are posted up underneath the like forever scaffolding of New York. Everything is always being changed and built upon. And he's got a bunch of other guys there with him, and they're all in different levels, sitting and squatting, and he's standing. He's got his arms crossed in front of him. And I look over, I happen to glance over at them while I'm skipping,
And he says to me with all this like lasciviousness, you see it in his face, in his eyes, in his voice, in his body. And he says, "Hey, lil' mama, I like the way you skipping." Right? Take a breath. Because we're going to play with this moment. A lot of us would look at this moment and would see the characters in a lot of different ways, which is fair because we're all seeing the world through our own lens. But if I could invite you to see this moment, this story, these characters through my lens, I would really appreciate you taking that invitation. So, and here's the thing, you only have to take it for this episode. You totally can just throw it by the wayside after this, but I really hope that you'll just consider looking at it the way that I did. So if this were a moment in my story, there are different characters involved in this scene. I'm there. My friend is there. It's a bright day in New York City, right? If the weather were a character, it would be there. It was bright, right? There are other people milling about, right? There's sort of be like background characters. This man who's here, right? He's a main character. His friends around him or his people or whoever it is that he was with that day in that little group. All sitting around him. There were things that you couldn't see, just like I said, the weather, that are also characters, right? Like the sexuality that was coming off him, right? Like lasciviousness. And in that moment, if we think about those three roles, I could either be in the I don't know, the this has been thrust upon me, or the I choose, right? How to be in this moment. So if we were in the I don't know, right? The I don't know role were to come up in this moment, I would probably have been like, nervous giggle. Okay, well, have a good day. And then would have like walked away, right? That would have been, I'm not really going to engage with you. And I'm also not really going to be like hardcore against you. I'm just going to sort of be like, I don't know, neutral and like walk away from this, right? That is that role. If I were to embody that and express it in that moment. Let's say I had chosen the thrust upon me, right? You've thrust upon me that I am the sexual object, this object to be sexualized, and that's why you've looked at me with my hey, little mama, like you're skipping, right? I could have been super rigid and could have rejected that, right? That it was thrust upon me and I didn't want it, that I had not chosen it. And I could have said, that's nasty. Why are you talking to me like that? That is so rude. Right? Pushed it back. We can hear that I'm rejecting, resisting what the role is that's been thrust upon me. And then I would have walked away, right? Either of those cases, I would have left either feeling anxious or nervous or upset in this last one, right? But in this case for this story, what I chose was to choose an empowered role for me in that moment, which was to own how I wanted to feel in that moment, which was not uncomfortable, and I didn't want to be angry. So instead what I did was I played with it. I chose to play with it, and here's how I chose to play with it. I stopped for a second. I paused. I thought about very quickly what was happening in this moment. Was this safe? Yeah, it was a pretty safe moment. Bright street, lots of people around, right? They're right there. And what I said was, "Oh, you mean like this?" And then I started skipping in place with my arms and legs going out and left and right and back and forth and jumping up and down. And it was really funny for me. It was fun for me. Not an I'm making fun of you, sir, funny, but like, oh, I'm taking what you just gave me and you just said you like the way I'm skipping. Well, let me skip for you and let me have fun with it, right? You're not going to control the objectification of what I am and who I am in this moment. I want to control that. And you know what? I feel safe enough to be able to do that in this moment. And so that's what I did. His response is how I know this is so powerful. His response was that his body softened and he smiled, right? We could see that sort of lasciviousness sort of take a step to the side or the back. He smiled at me. He softened and he said, "All right, I see you. I see you," right? When we can play with things, we can be seen, and we agree to see others. So when I invite people in my real life, in my office, to play with something, what I'm inviting them to do, us to do, is to see something and to let it be seen. Everything in our life is not going to be playable at all moments. This moment may not have been playable if it was at night and I was alone and the street wasn't busy, right? That moment may not have been playable. I might have played with it in a different way. It's hard to say in this moment. But what I want to impart upon you and what I want your takeaway to be from this episode is first thinking about how do you play with something, as in how do you empower yourself to choose how you're going to feel and express yourself in a moment, as opposed to being triggered / emotionally hijacked, in which your emotions choose for you how you are going to feel and how you are going to express yourself. And I hear you. I hear that though, for those of us who have a little bit of self-doubt creeping up and it's saying, it's impossible, you can't do this, this isn't, everybody's not like that. It's a tool, y'all. We're not born like this. Right? I wasn't born with the ability to do that. It's something I practice, and I practice it daily because I do get triggered. I get triggered all the time. And this is one of those moments where I have been able to practice it on more than one occasion. That same kind of story, right? Guy comes at me. I've been objectified sexually, and I play with it in a way that doesn't put him down, and doesn't put me down. It really plays with the thing that is between us, right? And I don't want to get too conceptual here, right? But that thing that you really can't quite put your finger on because it's not seen. It's something between human beings. That's what we're playing with. You're playing with the moment. So again, I want to invite you to look at your moments this upcoming week and ask yourself, what can you play with?
It's me again, reminding you that this was a throwback episode. I hope that you were able to take something from it, even one little nugget of wisdom, and use that between this week and next week, right? The purpose of these episodes is to give you tools. It is up to you to decide whether you want to become skilled in them. You picking up what I'm putting down? So take a tool, take something, a perspective, a moment, something that works for you, and use it in your life to transform hard conversations into teachable moments. To transform the way that you play with scary moments, right? To transform your life, to help make you the most courageous, most healing-oriented, most belonging person, right? No matter where you go, that you belong to yourself everywhere you go, right? Courage, healing, belonging, whatever it is that you are taking from this episode, take it with you, so that you can get out there and live your most vibrant life, you beautiful human being. Okay? All right, I'm signing off for now, but I'm gonna see you soon, okay? I'm gonna see you real soon. Bye for now. Thank you so much for being willing to explore healing your humanity on Empowered Human. I hope you found at least one new way to transform your worldview from powered to empowered. If you took something from the show, please take a moment of your time and subscribe to Empowered Human. And if it really nourished you, leave us a review. Your feedback helps me understand what our community needs. Not to mention, it helps others discover the empowered human life. So keep this last bit in mind. All the visual goodies come with me on Instagram at Drama Therapist Nina. Stay up to date there on upcoming episodes, behind the scenes goodness, and reels dropping knowledge. Thank you again for being part of the empowered human community. Until next time, stay curious.